Okay. Aku udah balik ke main
Is
house,
my
bro.
presentation clear?
Yes, Ibu.
Okay, thank you so much, Ibu Izati.
Yeah.
The Honorable Moderator, thank you so much for inviting me to present my paper. Actually, this paper is a project done by me and also my team, that is Ibu Rahayu Budi Haryanti and also student Lintang Rahita Ningarum. And today I'm going to present my paper entitled Reader-Centered Approach, Investigating Literary Reading Performance Profile of Students from Non-Literature Study Program. Well, actually, this paper is motivated by a problem among my students from non-English literature. Well, the students think that literature is very difficult and also sophisticated to understand due to the fact that there are a lot of challenges in the text itself. For example, the challenge will be dealing with the linguistics, such as vocabulary. Sometimes the authors employ various and also complicated vocabulary to describe the short story. And also the language mastery of the student become one of another factor that influence the student to understand the literary work. And also the idiom, proverb, and also slang are another factors that challenge the student whether the students can understand the text or not. Writing structure and also the style of the structure and also the genre of the literary works influence the students' performance in understanding and also appreciating the literary works. Well, my students always say, actually, I couldn't understand this story as it's really a sophisticated one. For example, the story written by Mark Twain, entitled True Story. Mark Twain employed really unique language between white language and also black language. Those languages have different features between black and white. Most of the students are coming from the non-literature study program, and this one is the testimonial of my student. Most of the students are low to medium exposure readers, in which some of the students do not like reading literature because sometimes the language is confusing for them. You know, the literary work has really a different style compared to fiction or academic text. So, in the institution where I am teaching right now, sometimes the lecturer is facing a great dilemma whether the teacher should teach the student using complex literary works or simple literary works. If the students are given simple texts, they are considered as university students. But if the students are given sophisticated one, they couldn't even understand. They can understand, but it needs like a bit a long time compared to the literature study program students. Due to this fact, sometimes the lecturer lower the demand of the subject. In my class of literary reading class, we lower the standard that we think that only understanding or appreciating simple value in literary works is enough. Then we stimulate the readers in the classroom to be more understandable, so be more able to appreciate the literary works, not only comprehend the literary works, but they hopefully can appreciate the literary works even more deeply than before. So we choose some text to be used in a classroom, which has some components or elements that is generative and also accessibility, compelling, imaginative, refreshing, and gap offering. The gap offering is the most interesting one because gap offering offers problems reflected in the literary works, and the students said that the gaps is the most interesting one to be discussed in a classroom. We use reader-centered approach to help the student appreciate literary works, not only comprehend the literary works, but also they can understand and also appreciate the value, like the alternative values behind the text itself. As I said before, my respondents is coming from students of non-English literary study program, and the reader's background is diverse. This one is the diversity. Okay, this one is the diversity of my students. 60% of my students said they joined literary classroom before joining literary reading class, and 62% said they have joined literary classroom. But the interesting fact is this one. They just got one literary class that is in the first semester, Introduction to Literary Studies. In this subject, they are only learning literary works for the sake of entertainment, not for the sake of appreciating the literary works, as appreciating the literary works needs further or advanced knowledge and also comprehension to appreciate the literary works. And this one, the readers, or most of the readers, are categorized as medium exposure. 64% my readers are medium exposure, while 20% are low exposure, in which they almost never exposed by literary works in a daily life. Maybe rare. And this one, the reader-centered approach we are using is we use the strategy called envisionment building. And the second one is understanding by identifying the facts containing in the literary works. And the last one, in which it is the main purpose of our classroom, is appreciating the literary works. Here is the activities of envisionment building. So we use picture, sometimes a video I attach to the handbook of literary reading. These pictures can give like an vision to the student for pre-reading activity in order to make the reader guess what they are going to read about in the literary works. For example, we have two pictures here. The first one is bullet and also rice here. This one is really related to the story that we are going to discuss in the classroom. We have Orlando Ocampo entitled Bullet and Rice. So I just give a picture showing bullets and also rice, as I want my student to guess what they want to talk and also brainstorm about the picture. And this one is the response of the envisionment building, whether the envisionment building can help them understand or guess the story in the literary works they are going to read. The first one, envisionment building, they said, help them visualize and also understand easier the literary works. So this pre-reading activity using illustrated picture or illustrated video help the student to guess and also make a points that maybe relate to the literary works they are reading later. And for comprehension, appreciating the literary work is, I think, not as easy as we think, especially for non-English literature and also for low to medium exposure readers. We are stimulating the readers or the students to comprehend first, not to appreciate the literary work for the first time, but we stimulate by using some prompts for identifying the facts in which the answer can be found in the text, in the body of text. For example, we can ask the student about the setting dealing with the story and also the characters and also characterization. By answering some prompts in comprehension level, they will understand what the author wants to tell the readers about the story. When the readers already understand this story and also understand the characters and also characterization, understanding the plot, then we stimulate the readers to appreciate the literary works by using reader-centered approach in which the lecturer promotes the ideas or the opinion coming from the readers. According to the theory of reader response, meaning is formed not only by the text, but it is formed by the readers, as when doing reading activity, the text and also the readers are doing interaction in which they are exchanging knowledge. The text gives something to the readers and also the readers with the background bringing something to the text in which the backgrounds may be social, education, and etc. are useful for forming the meaning or appreciating the literary works. And as we stimulate the readers to think and also to generate opinions dealing with the story that we are using to discuss in the classroom, this one is some examples of a prompt question. These questions or the prompts are different with the questions in comprehension part. We ask implied think or implied events in which the author wants to reveal. And this one is some of the example of my student response.
3 minutes left, Ibu Tahiria.
Yeah, thank you. This one is the example, some example of the responses coming from the student. The student, in responding to Breakfast, a short story written by John Steinbeck, they have different or diverse ideas or theme. For example, some students say that the story promotes generosity and also solidarity, while Bullet and Rice, promoted by Orlando Ocampo, a Filipinos author, some students say sharing is caring, and some students say that Bullet and also Rice are symbolized social constraints in a Philippines. Okay, and the true story by Mark Twain. Some students say it deals with slavery, but some of them promote patient optimism. So here in the classroom, we have diverse opinions coming from the student, from the activity of appreciating the literary works after comprehending the literary works. So everyone, this is my presentation that in conclusion, I think this method can be useful for teaching literary works in non-English literature study program, as the envisionment building activity in a pre-reading activity and also comprehension activity and Both of them can help students to more understand the literary work, to make the student appreciating the literary expression. Thank you so much, Ibu Izati, for giving me your time. I give another presentation to the next presenter. Thank you so much. Wassalamualaikum.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Thank you, Bu Tohiria, for the presentation. I believe it will have tremendous effect to your students to improve their reading skill. Bapak Ibu, if you have question for Ibu Tohiria, you can start writing your question in the chat box, and it will be answered in the question and answer session in the last 15 minutes of this parallel session. Okay, now I would like to invite the second presenter. An article by Ibu Tohiria, another article by Ibu Tohiria, Ibu Kristianti, and Ibu Rahayu Puji Hayati. Okay, for the presenters, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Bu Izati. Let me share my PowerPoint first. Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today, we would like to present our paper entitled Environmental Story-Based Creative Content for the Advertising Media of Water Hyacinth Products. So actually, this is the result of our community service held by Bu Tohiria, me, and Bu Rahayu Puji Haryati. So let's begin. So actually, more than 70% of water hyacinth covers the surface of our opening, which is bad for the environment and the economy. So actually, water hyacinth reduces the population of biota and also tourism value. Real solutions are needed to deal with this problem. So in this area, especially in Kesongo, Tundang, there is a UMKM based on community empowerment and local natural resource potential, namely Pengokraf. And this UMKM has taken a role to provide a solution to the pollution made by hyacinth hyacinth. So this UMKM produce some crafts made from hyacinth. So this UMKM may use water hyacinth to make bags, books, sandals, and other accessories. This UMKM also with the community produce these crafts. So actually, this enterprise made large number of handicraft production, but and there is a problem here. There are a lot of products from water hyacinths, but the marketing stuff is still the homework. So actually, water hyacinth handicraft products are marketed in local markets by making use of online marketing media, such as websites and Instagram. This marketing method shows only the photos of the product to attract the customer. However, the content in the marketing media is not persuasive enough to attract a global market. So uh, to uh, to respond to this problem, the community service team over a solution by giving training of story-based content creative writing for pengograph advertising media. So the training involve pengograph management and local community will become the advertising team. And the result of this activity is the train participant produce advertising content for online media. Okay. So this one is actually the advertising media used by pengograph. And this is our community service. So actually, we join 5 meetings. We have 3 online meetings and 3 online meetings and 2 offline meetings. So the first activity start with brainstorming, pretest, and introduction to the structure of creative advertising content and identification of the structure of the story. So in the first stage, brainstorming, the participant here is asked by the team some question related to advertising stuff. But the challenge here is some participant is still shy and hesitant to convey their understanding and opinions clearly. But actually, their prior knowledge about advertising is quite good enough. And the activity continue to pretest. So here the participant is asked to make a group to compare and then the team give some jumble pictures and they have to compile pieces of picture of narrative advertisement to make into a good advertisement. In this stage, the team give Indonesian version of jumble advertisement of narrative content. There is no big challenges in this process since the language is still Bahasa Indonesia. And the next activity continue to introduction to the structure of story-based creative advertising content. So here the participant is introduced by some theories of structure of story-based creative advertising content. And the next one is the team introduce the structure of story. The team introduced from how to develop introduction, climax, and resolution. After that, they are given some theories about the structure. They are introduced to the activity itself. So they need to story structure identification, and they need to develop a story by themselves. So from this activity, the result of this training participant will write a story to be used for advertising content of pengograph. So the participant needs to use their creativity to make a story that can attract customer to buy more products from pengograph. So from the result of the participant writing, especially in the storyline section, participant did not clearly mention the character in the story. But participant only just mention initial name. So this is the homework of our team, since the participant, some of them still do not really develop the strong characters in their story. And for introductory section, the participant is quite quietly clear in presenting their story, but when they continue to the next stage of their story, they lose the flow of the story. The next one, the homework is to make the participant can develop their creativity and how they can create something that is extraordinary than the others. So when they create their story um, is something that still related to something that is too common for the stuff of advertising content. Okay, but there is
3 minutes left, Bu Chris.
Okay, thank you. But there is one participant that is really creative enough to create a story. One of these participants used the character of Fish to develop the story of him. So a fish here can show that he can think out of the box. So the conclusion from this activity, community service, based on these activities that have been carried out, it can be concluded that this training get great enthusiasm from the participant to develop the ability to write story-based creative content. And this training activity actually produce initial draft of story that can be processed to the next step to be advertising content for website or social media. So for further communities service, maybe we can extend the duration of the training, since it's quite challenging for us to give.
I'm sorry, Bu Chris, but the time is up.
Okay, thank you. So the last statement. So it's quite challenging for us to give some your many theories about story-based content to the participant with limited time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bu Chris, for the interesting presentation about combining literature, art, and advertisement, yeah, and business as well. Okay, yeah, so for the next presentation will be delivered by Ibu Fibriani Partiwi and Ibu Fatma Hetami. Okay, for the presenters, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Ibu Izati. Let me share my presentation. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Fibriani Pertiwi and my partner Fatma Hetami are going to present our research about a comparative study under the title Puritan in Life, the Infidelity of the Scarlet Letter.
Ibu, can you slideshow your PowerPoint?
Okay. So this presentation is divided into 5 sections, which are introduction, review of related literature, methodology, discussion, and findings, and conclusion. Let's jump to the first section, which is introduction. Talking about literature film adaptation is like talking about marriage, where two different things join hands, combine themselves, become one. However, as marriage, which sometimes doesn't always go well, literature to film adaptation also faces the same situation where some people, especially those literature enthusiasts, do not agree with the idea of merging both medium because they are afraid the novel will become different once it is transferred into a film. Nevertheless, people should be know that this kind of situation, this kind of adaptation always involves changes, so it can be helped. It is also happened to our research, which is the novel of the Scarlet Letter, which is written by Nathaniel Hawthorne in 1850s. So this novel is a story about Hester Prynne, who was committed adultery, and then she had to carry on and survive her life even in a desperate situation. Or this novel has its own film adaptation, which was made in 1996 by Roland Joffé. So, however, this film is received many negative reviews because the film turned into rated R film for its violence, rape, gore, sex, and nudity. So the next section is review of related literature, which are semiotic theory by Pierce. Also, there is literature to film adaptation infidelity. Also, there is review studies. Charles Sanders Peirce's theory of semiotics. Contrast with Saussure theory of sign, Peirce offered a triadic model of sign, which are representamen, which is the form which sign takes. Also, there is object to which the sign refers, and then the last step is interpretation, any meaning conveyed by the representamen about the object which was previously unknown. So this process of triadic relationship is called semiosis. And then the next one is literature to film adaptation infidelity. So as you can see on the screen, this is a quotation from Mary H. Snyder in his book Literature to Film Adaptation, Analyzing Literature to Film Adaptation. It can be said that when comparing two different mediums, instead of choosing which one is better, we should find why. We should find why those different medium is different. And the next one is preview studies. So before we were conducted this research, we made a review about some previous studies, such as a comparative analysis of the Scarlet Letter from fiction to movie by Xinyu Zhang in 2017. Also, there is a Freudian psychoanalytic made by Isaoglu in 2015. Also, Chahal in 2016 made a research about a formalist analysis of the Scarlet Letter. And the methodology used in this research, there are two, which are semiotic approach. As I have mentioned before, that we found first the representamen, the object, and the interpretant. We analyzed both of the mediums, and then the result of the analysis, we compare it to find whether it is the film is unfaithful or not. And then the next one is discussion. So what sign does appear in the story of the Scarlet Letter? It's obvious that it's the A sign. So the A sign, it is the representation of adultery. Why? It's because the meaning of A for adultery is created when there is a circumstances, right? So here the circumstances is Hester, who has an illegitimate child, so that's why it's adultery. So how if there is another circumstances in the story? Is it the A change into another signification or not. Let's take a look on this slide. So our research found that after Hester being free from prison, Hester got an option whether she wanted to stay there or leave the country in the place where no one knows about her sins. Yet Hester chose to stay in Boston because she didn't want to run from her problem. She wanted to face it, and she tried her best so that the town people could accept her. Hester also uses her skill in needlework to support herself, so devoted her time to charity work, also brings food in the door of poor, also nurses the sick, and this action of Hester results on the acceptance of the people, that people didn't see the A in her bosom as an adultery, but another thing that because it's that circumstances. So what we get from those circumstances is that Hester evolved to change people's perspective of her, also what people saw on her, and then the shifted meaning of A. So what if these circumstances see through pure semiotic theory, we can get that the representation here of those circumstances is an embroidered badge letter of A stitch and gold and scarlet in Hester print bosom, and it is because that the sign that the form which sign takes, and then the object here is Hester print, who does a lot of good deeds because that the sign refers to Hester, and then the interpretant here is A refers to ability because the object here that Hester who always does a lot of good things. So how about in the film? As you can see on the screen here, this is the first time Hester met Dimmesdale. So unconsciously, Hester found Dimmesdale swimming nude in a river. So which we believe that this is the first time Hester fall in love with Dimmesdale. And then the next scene is here. Dimmesdale remind Hester that what they did was wrong.
3 minutes left, Ibu.
But it insisted that this is okay, we will fall in love each other. And the next scene is here. Hester will sacrifice everything for Dimmesdale. And then the last scene is the film ended with the happy love life of Hester, which is different from the novel because the novel is not happy ending. So what we got from those circumstances is that we see through the pure semiotic theory is the representation same as the novel, an embroidered badge of letter A, and the object is different because here Hester Prynne was madly in love with Arthur Dimmesdale, and then the interpretant is A refers to Arthur. And then to summarize, both findings of our research is that the representation of both mediums are the same. However, the object and the interpretant are different because in the novel, Hester, who does a lot of good deeds, yet in the film, Hester is madly in love with Dimmesdale. So that's why the interpretation also different. The novel, it refers to ability, however, the film, it refers to Arthur. So the conclusion is that the film adaptation is unfaithful and straying away from its original text. So I would like to say that last, indeed, the reason all the things that befall to Hester. Nevertheless, the novel and film have their own ways in responding to those circumstances. The novel focuses on how the symbol A can be a good signification, yet the film seems focused on the love life of Hester. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Bu Fibriani. What an interesting findings from your research.
Thank you.
Okay, for the last but not least, I would like to invite Ibu Zulfa Fahmi, Bapak Surahmat, and Ibu Alfa Zulia to present their articles. Okay, for the presenter, the time is yours.
Yes, thank you, Ibu Izati. Let me end. My name is Alfa Zulia Karina, representing Mr. Zulfa Fahmi. I will present the first. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay. Okay. I will present an article entitled Modification of fable for the era of disruption
Ibu,
is
your PowerPoint is not shared yet.
oh, okay, sorry. Sudah?
Ya.
Ya. Okay. Okay. Modification of fable for the era disruption di Zulfa Fahmi, Surahmat, and Alfa Zulia Dwi Karina. The introduction. In the era of disruption, humans are required to always update their ways for thinking and their ability to keep up with the change. The challenge for the era of disruption is whether a community is ready or not for this kind of era. Therefore, the ability to adapt and innovate in a very basically ability to face an era of disruption. Adaptive and innovative skill must be intelligent since childhood. Fables become an alternative solution for these problems. The characteristics of fables are very suitable if it is related to adaptive and innovative abilities. However, the productivity of fables in accordance with the era of disruption is still very low. Therefore, fables are the appropriate to the era of disruption is needed. The formulation of the research problem is what are the things for creating fables and are in line with the era of disruption. And the methodology. The study used the research and development or R&D approach proposed by Sukyono. The study has several stages. The first, the need analysis stage. At this stage, the study will collection the data on the needs of participant and teacher. Then, based this result, it will be conclude about the need for modification of fable texts that are in accordance with the era of disruption. Second, the stage of fable text development. At this stage, the appropriate table text in development according to the need analysis. Third, the stage of origin validation. The expert at this stage and the fable story that have been completely modified will be assessed by expert. The expert will validate it were expressed in the literature of sociology. And four, the revisit of the table. At this stage, a whole evaluation will be carried out, including the motivation fables. There are the conclude and result. Finding and discussion. Based on the result, the following result we obtained where was 14.0% of respondent answer the fable with friendship them is need fables. 20.4% of the respondent answer that fable the need of helping them is needed for fables. 20.4% of respondent answer that fable with the need for help them is needed for the table. 19.4% of respondent answer that fable with ability to adapt them is needed for able. 20.47% of respondent answer the fable with the ability to innovate them is the most needed. 21.5% of respondent answer that fable with creativity them is needed, and 1.1% of the respondents answer the fables with other them are also needed. From the character point of view, there were 11.4% of respondents answered that the animals that are included to find everyday life and suitable for to be used in the fable. 98.6% of respondents answered that the animal that are easy to find if every life is suitable to be used in fables. 8.6% of the respondents answered that the animals that are exciting are suitable to be used in fables. And 11.4% of the respondents answered that the imaginative animals are suitable to be used in fables. Based on this data, it can be concluded that majority of respondents choose animals that are easy to find in everyday life are suitable to be used in fables. From giving the name of character point of view, there were 97.1% of respondents answered that giving the name of the animals that become the character is needed, while 2.9% of respondents answer that it was not necessary to give the name to the animals that was
A
available.
minutes left,
Based on
Bu
this data,
Zulfa.
it can be, yes, conclude that there is a need to give name is animals that become character fable. Is data, it can be concluded that there is the give name to animals that become character in the fable. Okay. Next, the conclusion. Based on the result of the study and conclusion, modification of fable for the era of disruption include intrinsic elements and the structure of fables. In the characteristic element was obtained modification sing as follows fable. Fable them are oriented towards them that are closely related to innovation and adaptation. Fable characters the animal that are easy to the found in everyday life. The character of fable the name just like human. Conflict focus and the conflict between animal and chain of nature. The place setting use the place of daily life, just like the time setting is the present time. The selection of language use daily conversation discussion. Okay. That's the presentation from me. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I make a mistake in calling your name, ya, Bu Alfa. Ya? Okay, yeah. So thank you for your presentation. Okay, now we come to the question and answer session. So, Bapak Ibu, if you have question for the question, comments, or responses, yeah, please use the chat box, or you can talk directly to the presenters. Okay, is there any questions? Okay, so we have one question here in the chat box from Pak Hendrikus. Yeah. Okay, so the question is for Ibu Alfa tadi ya, Ibu Alfa. Okay, the question is, which and whose fables do you use in your research? In what activities do you use the fables to teach the students? Thank you. Okay. Okay, so for yeah.
Yes. Can I answer with bahasa, please?
Okay. Yeah, I think yeah, okay then, no problem.
Oke. Jadi penelitian ini merepresentasikan membuat fabel yang baru yang relevan dengan keadaan sekarang seperti itu. Nah, dalam kegiatan apa saya menggunakan dongeng untuk diajarkan kepada siswa? Tentunya penelitian ini menciptakan sebuah dongeng yang relevan dengan masa-masa sekarang ini. Contohnya membuat dongeng dengan karakter kucing sebagai selebgram seperti itu. Jadi di sini bukan menggunakan dongeng siapa, tapi menciptakan dongeng yang baru, memodifikasi dongeng fabel untuk menjadikan bahan ajar bagi siswa seperti itu. Terima kasih.
Okay, thank you, Ibu Zulfa, for the answer, Pak Hendrikus. Yeah, does it answer your question? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Okay, is there any other question? Yeah, I think no. Yeah. Okay, then because there are no more questions, response or comments, then we can end our session today. So this is the end of parallel session 2. Thank you for your attention, and once again, thank you for the wonderful presentations from all presenters in this session. Okay, yeah, for the audience, you can remain in this room or you can go back to the main room if you want to join another breakout rooms. Okay, now we will continue with the parallel session 3. For the parallel session 3, we have 3 presentations. The first presenters is, so I will check the presenters for this parallel sessions. So the first presenters is Bapak Muhammad Ikhwan Rosidi, present ya, Bapak, and then Ibu Asmah Boru Munte and Bapak Matius C.A. Sembiring. Are you here? Bapak or Ibu Asma or Bapak Matius. And the last presenters is Ibu Riana. Ibu Riana, are you here? I think only Pak Ikhwan is here for this parallel session, yeah. So Pak Ikhwan, you have the whole session for yourself. Yeah. Okay, now without further ado, let's begin the parallel session 3. Pak Ikhwan, actually you have 10 minutes, but because there are no other presenters, then you can use the time as long as you want, Pak. Yeah. Okay, Pak Ikhwan, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Bu Izati. Bapak Ibu, good morning. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. In this beautiful morning, I'm glad to be here to present my idea about my research, focusing on how to construct or how to create differentiation, especially in Toni Morrison's novel, The Bluest Eye. Bapak Ibu, allow me to share my slide. Yeah, Bapak Ibu, here this morning, I'd like to present my writing about constructing the white imaginary public as a realization of blackness suffering represented in Toni Morrison's novel The Bluest Eye. Why, Bapak Ibu, I propose this kind of writing since as far as I know, when we deal with construction, especially relating to the blackness, so we cannot be separate from the idea of stereotyping. And stereotyping, once again, until now, it has still it still becomes one of issues that are still happening until now. And why it happens? Because we know that the different construction of black identity position, especially in, let's say, in binary opposition about it belongs to us or it does not belong to us, or he or she, you and I, it becomes the the cultural or ethnic identity, especially relating to the blackness in America. And the construction itself produces discrimination, and the discrimination basically targeted on certain identity. And because of this, Bapak Ibu, it always relates to the minority as the black people in United States. The next is that sometimes it because of It is because of the white supremacy has its desire to overcome racialized oppression, and this triggers the white imaginary public. The reproduction of the global order and the fulfillment of democracy, or let's say, it becomes the production of structuring that requires blackness and suffering of the slave. And it can be seen, Bapak Ibu, from different literary works representing like stereotyping, constructing of black people in America, like in some novels of Toni Morrison, Stowe, and Mark Twain. The next, from this, Bapak Ibu, basically, Morrison tries to picture symbolical text between those in colonizer and colonized society. And then she illuminates cast for understanding the exact binary thinking of colonizer. Yeah, and those illumination above come to an idea that basically, in my idea that I want to propose this morning, is that Morrison wants to show the blackness suffering, yeah, which is then realized in how white creates or the construct imaginary public. Or in another word, Morrison wants to expose the purpose of signification of suffering manifested in marginalization, becoming jealousy to have desire as white. From this, Bapak Ibu, from stereotyping and then construction here, I propose a theoretical foundation. The first is that I want to propose the theoretical foundation is first idea on what we call it as sign or representment, interpretation, and object as a semiotic system. First proposes division sign into three trichotomies. First is based on the quality, actual, existent, or general law. Second division is according to relation in sign to its objects. And the third is division rooted as a sign, as possibility, or sign of fact, or sign of reason. From this, Bapak Ibu, let me show you the diagram of how this theory is constructed. Sign, and then this one, Bapak Ibu, object, representment, and interpretation. From this, we see this one, Bapak Ibu, another one, and the last is this one. These are diagrams of how sign is constructed. Now, Bapak Ibu, the objectives of the study basically focuses on exploring expected white doll with the blue eyes as a realization of struggle towards suffering as a black construction in the Bluest Eye novel. And this novel becomes the representation of Americans' construction of national identity, especially in accordance to assimilation or integration strands. And the study aims at analyzing how white imaginary public as a realization of blackness suffering represented in Toni Morrison's novel, The Bluest Eye. Now, this is the methodology that I want to do in my research. I did it in my research. The first is that the study basically uses descriptive analysis, and then the material object is, sorry, I haven't changed this one, the Bluest novel, the Bluest Eye novel, and the data will be analyzed by semiotics. And this is the findings, Bapak Ibu. The findings, I start from an excerpt in the novel that there is no mistake about their being white. So come on. Now, here I try to see that no mistake about their being white. So in the first or the primary signification, we know that mistake is something relates to guilt, and it denotes on what is it? Um, denoting the human, and white especially denote to the certain group of people, and they have light colored skin. Nah, Bapak Ibu, from this, Bapak Ibu, we can see that basically the class differentiation relation here is constructed by seeing the different of color, yeah, especially skin color. And the next is yeah, and the next, sorry, and the next is the way it creates another symbolic, um, what is it, uh, phase, especially relating to suffering, because white is sexy, so the sexy here creates desire or a dreamer, and the dream here had by the black people, and it becomes their suffering because they dream about being white. Now here, and the next, what is it? The next um, finding that I found from this is that the relation between innocence and the lust. Yeah, Bapak Ibu, here the innocent having opposition with the term lust. So innocent means, yeah, it relates to purity, and the lust means what is it? Passionate desire. So from this, Bapak Ibu, we can see that basically the innocent itself is virtuousness, while the lust is powerfulness. The opposition between the innocent here indicates simplicity, and the last is intentional consciousness. And once again, it emphasizes on the suffering of the black, that black has virginity to be exposed, but white has freedom to interplay with the rights. So once again, black still suffers in this case. The next is the relation about appearance. So in the novel, I found that there is terms what we call it as ugly. Now, here, Bapak Ibu, the ugly is the unpleasant or repulsive, especially in appearance. Now, here, once again, it construct an idea that basically ugliness has unpleasantness, and the ugliness actually indicates subordination as a violence. And being ugly symbolizes basically marginalization as a private mind to be exposed. Its privacy leads to morally repugnant, basically, Bapak Ibu. And the next is the opposition between the blue eyes and the jealousy. Here in novel, I found that the opposition between the blue eyes and jealousy. Yeah, as we know, blue is the color of intermediate between green and violet, and eye is a pair of globular organs of sight in the head of humans, and the jealous is a feeling of showing envious or resentment or someone their achievement, yeah, especially perceived advantage. Now, from this, Bapak Ibu, I found that basically blue eyes relates to white people, and the jealousy is the powerless of black people. Why? Because blue eyes indicates ideal powerful public, yeah, while jealousy indicates having envy to cover its marginalization. Now, from this, Bapak Ibu, blue eye symbolizes dominance to be dreamed of by the black people. So it arouses their jealousy at their suffering. Now, Bapak Ibu, from this Bapak Ibu, yeah, we see the opposition between desire and possession. Now, from this Bapak Ibu, we found that desire shows eagerness and possession proposes occupancy. And once again, desire and possession here are mutualism or indicating colonizing and marginalizing. And the result of this relating to suffering, once again, having desire to be liked white people is black people's expectancy. It symbolizes rebelling the public as colony and marginalizing as their sufferings. Now, from this Bapak Ibu, from this finding, we can see that the construction of blackness as marginal and occupied seems to be rejected by negotiating perceived marginalization and socially constructed ideas of blackness. Here, the way to realize blackness suffering is by doing resistance attempts.
Excuse me, Pak Ihwan, 3 more minutes.
Yeah, free the meaning of blackness. And the constructing here, or the construction here, the constructing of the white as imaginary public can be solved by dismantling legal institution of slavery and redefining blackness as enslavement. So Bapak Ibu, from this, what we can conclude from our finding and discussion is that Morrison proposes semiotically blackness suffering starting from white gives fixed and aspired convenience and identity for black people. And the realization of the suffering shows when black has virginity to exposed. But white has freedom to do interplay with the rights. It is then emphasized on being ugly, which is symbolizes marginalization as private mind to be exposed, and its privacy leads to morally repugnant. From this, Bapak Ibu, Morrison proposes that the construction of imaginary public had by black people towards white one is sought by expecting blue eyes as a dominance and rebelling the public as colony and marginalization as their suffering. I think that's all, Bapak Ibu, for my presentation. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Yeah, thank you, Pak Ikhwan, for the wonderful presentation and insightful research. Now, I will call Ibu Asma. Ibu Asma, I noticed that Ibu Asma is here.
Yes.
Right now, okay, yeah, Ibu Asma, yeah, now you can present your presentation. The time is yours.
Okay, thank you.
You have 10 minutes, ya, Bu?
Yes. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for the chance. Here I would like to present my paper about a feminist stylistic analysis of female representation in bye-bye song lyric by Raisa.
Ibu, could you please show your PowerPoint?
Yes. Okay. A song is a musical composition, usually with words, and it's combined with the melody and vocal of the human voice. It is also a tool to share the feeling and the idea of someone through the basic elements of music, named rhythm, harmony, the structure of the song, and the expression as a source of unity. Nowadays, there are many kinds of music. They are pop, dangdut, jazz, hip-hop, and so on. All kinds of music have a theme in a song. Love is the most widely used in a theme song when we talk about love, it is not only about happiness, but also heartache and sadness. In today's society, women still underestimate because some groups of society assume that women are weak creatures. A woman cannot reach the same level as a man in many positions because women are not able to hold big responsibilities. Another reason, because there is no an option that woman must take care of her family and her house. This point of view shapes the pattern of thought of behavior of individuals. The construction position of women in our society point of view is not very profitable, even though by the times women in the social view remains the same position as men. Gender equality opened the eyes that men for here are the previous article from Hasbi in Citra Perempuan dalam lagu-lagu dangdut. In his article, conclude that woman representation can be seen based on the direct meaning or figurative meaning. There were 6 woman representation in dangdut song as woman as suffering wife, dangdut singer, materialistic wife, innocent girl, the ideal wife, and career woman. All of the songs which are analyzed represented still conveyed by custom or patriarchal culture. We can see this point of view in the Goyang Mujahir song, where the relationship between woman and man is just a partner to entertain men whoever is upset. Next, Tania in her article in narasi percintaan dan kesetaraan gender dalam lirik lagu-lagu Tulus show the positive sides of woman representation. In all Tulus song, he described woman as independent, happy, enthusiastic, resourceful, and can fight against their oppressors. Women have a choice, brave and strong in solving the problem, whereas men are not always in a choice position and make a decision, or only one takes responsibility to solve the problems. I choose these songs because Raisa is one of the most famous singers in Indonesia. Many people like to listen to her songs because she has a nice voice and the lyrics touch listeners' heart. Meanwhile, it is easy listening and cheerful. And this song get an award from AMI Award for the best urban production work in 2014. And this research focused on analyzing the bye-bye song lyric, which describe how woman representation in an abuse relationship, and the feminist approach is used to analyze the song lyric. Next, feminists come from the word femme, which means woman, has a goal to defend women's rights as a social class. Feminists aim to get gender equality and interrelation. It means that feminists are a movement to reject anything that is marginal, subordinate, and denigrate by the dominant culture, both in political, economy, and social life in general. Louis Station stated that the goal of the feminist movement was to change the world by promoting women's equality. So the feminist movement exists to change the world view by promoting gender equality. In literature, feminism was associated with how to understand literary works, both in the process of creating words and reading works, the production process and the reception. The feminism questioned the dominance of men in women, why women had not been equal with men, and why women seems to have no room to speak out. The working of this feminist criticism requires reading against the grain of the text appeared in tension against the flow of what was usually clearly stated in the text. This was because patriarchal literature is usually unconscious of sexist ideology it promotes, or perhaps more precisely, patriarchal literature sees nothing wrong with its sexism. For the methodology, here I use qualitative research using feminist approach. The object of the research by song lyric by Raisa taken from kapanlagi.com weblog, and I use content analysis method to analyze the song lyric. Here's the step of my analyzing. Finding and the discussion. There are some finding I found. For the first one is low self-esteem and lack of self-confidence make women maintain their
3
abusive.
minutes left, Bu.
Yes, it can be seen in line 1, 2, 3, and 4. And in those lines, Raisa explained that every woman is beautiful. All women have their own beauty. There is no standard of beauty, so women have to be proud of themselves to show their beauty. Next, and appreciate. In line 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 until 13, show that all the sentences emphasize leaving the man who treat the woman badly is not useful to get along with the man which always hurt woman feeling. Next, have a new partner. In line 15 until 17, tell that good woman will get good man. There is no need to keep up an abusive relationship with the rude man. This is here the word amazing reinforce the previous lyric in line 2 and 7 with the word beautiful, wonderful, and next amazing. So it emphasizes that women have to keep up from an abusive relationship. Next, empathy. There are 3 repeated sentences with different words at the end of the sentence. Here, the word ending with the word sad, down, and happy. And the last, the lyric say about if you don't treat me right. An abusive relationship is a source of much stress and worry. However, it is quite difficult for some couples to end up their relationship, so they keep doing their best to save their relationship, even if it is the best to live. So Raisa prohibits women to make themselves sad, down, and unhappy by keeping the relationship up. And for the conclusion, there is no perfect relationship. All couples fight, hurt each other, say and do nothing they should not. That is a normal part of living and loving together. The problem comes with having to repeatedly live in the past or the future to tolerate the present, the abuse, harm, the insecurity, the jealous, and the loneliness as it stands. And in this study, it was found that women were low self-esteem and appreciate, afraid of getting a new partner, and apathetic in deciding their relationship, even though they are in the abusive relationship. I think that's all my presentation. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Bu Asma, for your presentation. Very good presentation, Bu Asma. Okay, so Bapak Ibu, if you have question for the first presenter or the second presenter, you can write the question in the chat box. And the last presenters for this parallel session, I would like to invite Ibu Riana Permatasari. The time is yours.
Okay, thank you very much for the chance given to me, Bu Izati. Well, let me share my screen. Okay. Okay. Good morning, Bapak Ibu. Today, I am Riana Permatasari, and I would like to present my paper. And my paper title is Blue as a Symbol in the Proudest Blue Story of Hijab and Family. So there are 5 points that I would like to convey in my presentation. The first one is the introduction.
The second one is the review of related literature. The third one is the research method. Then after that, I would go with findings and discussions. And then the last one is the conclusion. Well, let me begin with the introduction. Well, as we know that Islamophobia has been a part of an issue.
Ibu, your PowerPoint is not on slideshow mode yet.
Oh, yes, but if I use slideshow mode, sometimes my laptop will be error.
Oh, okay.
So is it okay if it's something like this?
Please go on.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, okay, I'll repeat. So Islamophobia, it has been an issue in our society after the 11th attack. I'm sorry. Well, now because of the Islamophobia, racist stereotypes addressed to Muslim, including the Muslim women, and sometimes they are stereotyped with some negative stereotypes. So for example, here I wrote that hijab is stereotyped negatively. For example, it is worn to cover their identity as a terrorist. So it is associated with terrorism. So the second one is it is related to fundamentalism. It means that people or women wearing hijab mean that they do not want to be open-minded. They do not really open to any kind of other fundamentalists outside their box. So then the third one is a form of oppression. So based on the stereotypes, put hijab as a negative symbol. Then there are many literary works highlight the theme of hijab. One of them is The Proudest Blue, A Story of Hijab and Family, written by Ibtihaj Muhammad with SKLE and illustrated by Hatim Ali. So The Proudest Blue is a picture book, children picture book, and it was written by Ibtihaj Muhammad, Muslim American, actually Fansler. So she's an athlete but wrote some books also. Then, so based on the explanation, the study was intended to analyze blue as a symbol of hijab in The Proudest Blue, A Story of Hijab and Family. Well, let me move to the review of related literature. So we will talk about the symbolism itself. Symbolism and literature are highly interconnected because as we know that the authors of literary works usually use symbol to highlight the meaning of the, or to carry the message in the literary works. Then language and symbols are, language is understood as a symbol itself. Then the sign or the symbol system called as semiotics. So symbol represents another thing that, what is it, as a cultural product of a society to express an idea, meaning, and values that exist in a society. And in this research, I use Roland Barthes' theory. So in his theory, the theory states that the meaning exists in two levels. The first level is denotation, and then the second level is the connotation system. So this one is the semiological theory of Roland Barthes. So we can see in the figure. So the first level will be the denotation one or denotative sign, and then the second one is the connotative sign, and it is also related to the myth. So myth itself is the meaning carries in the connotation level. Yes. Excuse me. Well, denotative meaning means that the definitional meaning, literal, obvious, and common sense of a sign. I'm sorry, my son is talking to me. So sorry for that. And then the connotative meanings refers to association, social, cultural, and personal form of ideological, emotional, and so forth. Then this is the research method. I'm sorry, Mama. Sebentar ya. Maaf sebentar ya. Indonesia. I'm so sorry for the disturbance. So sorry. The research method, it happens. Yeah, okay. This is the research method. So the first one, Mama, maaf sebentar. Sebentar, maaf. So okay, I think it's not very convenient. So sorry for that. I will just move with the results and discussion. Well,
Yeah.
so the Proudest Blue is actually narrated by. I'm so sorry, Ibu Moderator, for the inconvenience. So I will just go with blue as a symbol. Sorry now.
Yeah.
So blue as a symbol. So the word blue mentioned in the title frequently throughout the story, as well as the weight of the illustration will also focus in the blue color. So I will just move to the blue as a symbol in the story. So blue is not only the colors, but it represents the color of the ocean. Okay, I'm so sorry. I don't think I can just move to the myth. So the myth that want to be addressed by the authors is the manifestation of wisdom, faith, and sincerity of a woman. It is something regular and not something strange. So women wearing hijab is not terrorists who are men and extremists, but they are friendly and strong at the same time. And the old myth, the new myth want to challenge the old myth that is hijab is associated with a terrorist. It is a symbol of fundamentalism and oppression. So based on the analysis using semiotic perspective, the authors of The Proudest Blue, A Story of Hijab and Family, tried to challenge the negative stereotypes about hijab by using blue as a symbol in the story. Well, so sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, that's the art of working from home, yeah, Bu.
Yes, especially because it is a Sunday.
Yeah.
It's quite difficult. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, Bapak Ibu. So once again, I would like to inform you that you can ask the question directly to the presenters in the chat box. I see a question here from Pak Hendrikus. Pak Hendrikus, do you want to ask the question yourself to Pak Ikhwan, or do you want me to read the question? Probably you want to ask Pak Ikhwan directly the questions.
No, you can directly
Oh, okay, then, yeah.
bring the question to him.
Yeah, okay. Pak Iwan, this is the question from Pak Hendrikus. The question is, I'm still wondering about what you mean by what imaginary public. Could you please explain this briefly? In your research, you're using Peirce's semiotic theory. Is there any relevance between this semiotic theory and the discussion about power relation in discussing the issue in Toni Morrison's novel? Thank you. Yes, Pak Iwan, you can answer the question.
Okay, thank you, Bu Izati, moderator, and thank you, Pak Hendrikus, for the feedback from me. Feedback for me. Sorry, Bapak Ibu, especially Pak Hendrikus. What I mean by imaginary public here is I start from the novel. Basically, this novel, one part of the novel spoke about the the dream of becoming white, seen from one part of physical appearance, that is having blue eyes. So the blue eyes here is something imaginary, Pak Hendrikus and Bapak Ibu, and it becomes a public when everyone, especially representing by the doll, who has blue eyes, becomes representation of power, what is it? Power struggle or power expectancy to be wide. This why, Bapak Ibu, I try to use semiotics for bridging what happens within the story. I mean, something which is not tangible or something which is not clearly caught easily, or something has meaning behind the words proposed in the novel. And from the analysis of semiotic, especially from her semiotics here, I can find, or I found that there are some what is it, representations from the exposure of suffering. This is from Morrison's perspective in her novel. What is it? Morrison's perspective on how Black people are suffered from their own, let's say, one part of them is different physical appearance, Bapak Ibu. And because of this, they want to fight against, or they want to rebel. And the way to rebel for Morrison is by dreaming, by what is it, imagining that basically having blue eyes is something important. You can, Bapak Ibu, you can read in the novel that basically one character, I forget the name, when she wanted to be, what is it? She was so proud when she had blue eyes. Instead of their family, they do not have blue eyes. From this, Bapak Ibu, I I tried to investigate the relation between the dream of becoming white in accordance to having equality between white and black in Morrison's novel, represented in Morrison's novel. From this departure, Bapak Ibu, basically Morrison wanted to, what is it? Wanted to show to the readers that, okay, this is the condition of black, especially from their suffering. And this is why, Bapak Ibu, the terms imaginary public here is, what is it? Publish, in my word, publicizing something that it is a dream for black people, represented in the represented from the blue eyes itself. Maybe that's all what I can explain, Pak Hendrikus and Bapak Ibu. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Pak Iwan.
Yeah, thank you, Pak Iwan. So, is there any more questions from the audience or response to the presentation or comments? Oh, we have one more question here from Bu Yayu for Bu Asma, ya. The question is it mentioned in the song's lyric, the function of beauty? Isn't it finally used to respond to man's demand? If not, what is the target of feeling beauty according to the song lyric? Bu Asma, yeah, you can answer the question.
Okay, thank you for the questions. Here in these songs, there is no mentions how the standard of beauty, but all women has their own beauty. sometimes or many people still have uh, have assumed that the beauty woman has white skin, a tall body and slim body. But in these songs tells about every woman has their own beauty with the uniqueness of the unique of people. So in these songs, just wanna encourage women to believe and confidence with themselves to show their power and their beauty. Uh, that's it, my answer.
Yes. Thank you, Bu Asma. Any response, Bu Yayu? Okay. Yeah. Okay, let me check the chat box once again. Okay, so we don't have question in the chat box. Okay, I would like to invite again the audience if you want to ask the question directly to the presenters, or maybe the presenters want to ask question to each others, please. Yeah. If there are no more questions, then we can close this parallel session. But before we close the parallel session, please turn on your video camera so that we can take a virtual photo before we close the parallel session. Okay, once again, Bapak Ibu, please turn on your video camera so we can take a virtual photo for our parallel session. Okay, I will start capturing the screen. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, enough. Okay, thank you, Bapak Ibu. Thank you for joining parallel session 3. Again, for the audience, you can remain in the room, or you can go back to the main room to join other breakout rooms. Now we will. Let me check the presenters for the parallel session 4. If we have complete presenters, then we can directly start the parallel session 4. Okay, so for the parallel session 4, we have Pak Ruli. Pak Ruli, are you here? Pak Ruli.
Yes, Luisa.
Yeah,
Can you
okay,
hear me?
Pak Ruli. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Pak Hendrikus and Ibu Yayu. Yeah, okay, so we have complete presenters for the parallel session 4. Then we can start the parallel session 4 now. Okay, again, I will inform the time for the presentation is 10 minutes for each presenters. And then in the last 15 minutes, we can have a session for question and answer. Okay, now I would like to invite the first presenter, Pak Ruli and Bu Tohiriah, as his team. Okay, Pak Ruli, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Luisa. Good afternoon, Bapak, Ibu, other presenters of Elite. Then let me share my presentation. Okay. Luisa and Bapak Ibu, can you see my presentation? Okay. Let me start my presentation here. So the title is Heroes, an Acrocritical Perspective on the short story, which is written by Liam O'Flaherty, and it is entitled The Waves. So let me start my presentation with the introduction or background of study. So here, my concern is in the concept of aberration and tempestuous, which is caused by tempestuous tidal waves, which are considered as a big phenomena which lead to fast impact, whether in their effect to human or non-living beings. As we can see in the picture, this is the effect or the form of the impact of aberration from the tidal waves. And then, okay, so here, Haryani and Ruswandi argue that those two ecological phenomena, which is aberration and tempestuous tidal waves, are a kind of catastrophes which are supposed to be mitigated or solved due to the fact that those two phenomena lead to the great devastating impacts for humans, for us. We can see in the picture that this aberration and tidal waves can destroy some homes, some place in the beach. And then from this catastrophe, anthropocentric critics, they award people who are successfully mitigating the catastrophe, and they labeled the people that are successfully mitigating those catastrophes as heroes. So there are a lot of awards which is given to those people that are successfully solved or cleared the catastrophe. Nah, so from that anthropocentric point of view, I have one big question. How if one non-human that mitigates a catastrophe? How if one non-human can save both human and non-living being from a catastrophe? Can this non-human being being labeled as a hero? So that leads to my research questions. How does eco-criticism, how does eco-critique see the communication, the interaction between the waves and the cliffs based on the short story written by Liam of Laherty, which is entitled The Waves? And the second question, how can the cliff as a non-living being be attributed or being labeled, being called as a hero in the waves? So the methodology I use here is to conduct this study, our library method, which focusing on close reading technique and qualitative analysis. So who is Liam of Laherty? So Liam of Laherty was considered as a major Irish novelist, short story writer, and he must be ranked as one of the foremost writers which has socialist point of view in the first part of 20th century. And he usually writes about the common people's experience from their perspective. So here in my literature review, I use the eco-critics perspective. One is from Glotvelty and Fromm, which they challenge the anthropocentric ideas, which focus mainly on the human as part of ecology or environment. They assert that Earth is alive. So the ideas of the eco-critic, which focus mainly on human as a center, must be neglected because Earth, they see that Earth is one center, should be the center of this eco-critics perspective, because Earth is alive, Earth is living, and it's human who are circling around this Earth. I also take the perspective of Bachel and Churchman, which divide the ecology into two parts or two types. The first one is natural, and the one natural or partial ecology, and the other is full ecology, based on the interrelation principle. Which one is affecting and which one is being affected. Natural or partial ecology here means environment or ecosystem which is formed naturally with, for example, with physical chemical process or natural process. And contrary-wise, full ecology here means environment or ecosystem formation which is influenced by human activities. So it's not natural process, it's human which affect the environment. Now, from that eco-critics perspective, I try to make a bridge. I try to make a dialogue between those perspective with the hero, because I think living being can also be labeled as hero, can also be awarded as hero. Now, here Goethals and Allison argues that first and foremost, heroes are people or thing being who or which do something that is moral. So they have moral values. They delivered good moral values for people or being around them. And the second characteristic of people or thing who is labeled as a heroes is they are highly competent. They achieve at exceptional levels. Thus, the dictionary definition refer to bold exploits and special achievement. So the hero must have a bold exploits, and they must have a special achievement. For example, if we see the movie, this hero, they can beat the final boss, which is usually an evil one. So that is considered as having special achievements. I also take notes to Hartman and Zimber of
3 more minutes, Pak Ruli.
okay, thank you, Bisa. Hartman and Zimber of which states that hero is someone or something that undergoes a self-transformation. The call comes to the potential hero that this hero comes through some extraordinary experience. They have a special encounter or epiphany. Now, this is one note from Hartman and Zimmerhoff that usually heroes have a gatekeeper or guardian who are testing their strength, who are testing their value. Now, for this point of view, I think that journey of hero self-transformation is influenced by the other elements, not from his or herself. So this is my findings in the waves. The cliff and the waves, who are two main characters here, are depicted as two parts of ecosystem which collides forever, eternally. They connect from the past until maybe at the end of the world. So they cannot be separated in the beach ecology. The waves here, I see that attacks the cliffs continuously, vigorously, and fiercely forever, eternally. This is the excerpt, one part from the waves that shows that the waves attacks the standing still cliff, who is silenced, but I think although the cliff is silenced, it protects everything around it, because if cliff is defeated, if cliff is broken, then everyone or everything around it will be broken, maybe will be dead, will be affected in worse way. And here I see the cliff non-human as a hero. It stands still, filled with moral values. Yeah, it reflects one of the hero's moral characteristic, persistent. And the other is the cliff here protects other beings. Yeah, protecting other beings from the attack of the waves. It reflects one of the hero's moral characteristic, selflessness. He or she does not think about himself, but think about protecting the one around him or her or it. Although in the end the cliff had disappeared, yeah, but it creates a new ecology rising from the smokes. The fallen the cliff and the waves had disappeared already. Another one was gathering in the cove. So although the cliff had disappeared, it gives a birth to the cove. We can see the self-transformation here. The cliff undergoes self-transformation from the flat brick area into the one with a cavern. This cavern is not a common cavern, it's not a usual cavern, it's not an empty cavern. This cavern is filled with various inhabitants and creating a new ecosystem. The cliff self-transformation is influenced by the waves. So if it is not influenced by the wave, it will it will stay as a common, as a normal cliff.
Pak Ruli, time is up.
Okay. Okay. Can I say my closing statement?
Yes, yes, yeah.
Okay. So for the conclusion here, the cliff and the waves are parts of ecosystem in the beach that cannot be separated. Yeah. And then in Liam O'Flaherty, the cliff is the persona which is depicted as a being that is constantly hit by the waves. If it loses, the aberration created by the waves will kill many living beings above and inside the cliff. Maybe one of them are human. So here I want to say that hero is not a concept that is so simple as they are compared to only the intrinsic elements of the literary works such as character or setting, but it acts as a major sentiment. We must see the hero not from the appearance, but the sentiment, the emotion it delivers to the reader. Okay, I think that's all from my presentation. Thank you, Bisa. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Pak Ruli, for your amazing presentation today. Okay, now, Bapak Ibu, if you have question for Pak Ruli, then you can start writing your questions in the chat box. Or if you want to ask the question directly to Pak Ruli, then you can ask the question in the question and answer session in the end of the session. Okay, now I will invite the second presenters, Pak Hendrikus. Yeah, Pak Hendrikus, the time is here, yours. Pak Hendrikus, you are still muted.
Okay, what about now? Can you hear my voice?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, then. Can you see my PPT?
Yes, Pak.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. So the title of my paper is Avian Poetics, yeah, in Charles Olson Mertz of Egypt and Robert Greeley, The Birds, yeah, Projective Experimentation as an Ecovision. So let me read it quickly. Yeah. So I have many pages of this PPT. Animals are companions for humans in this terrestrial world. God did not only position human, but also non-human animals, including various vegetation and other natural landscapes in the creation myth. Animals of various species and sizes, from the megafauna, such as elephant, to the small insects, such as ant, and even microorganisms, have essential roles in shaping this natural world. They, along with human beings and vegetative organisms, constitute an ecological system or ecosystem in their interdependent relation with each other and with the physical environment. Their interdependence makes what is called food webs, in which creatures such as insects feed on plants. Then birds prey on the insects, while the plants nourish the birds with seeds. The next trajectory is that the birds spread the seeds when they defecate, that this promotes the growth of plants. This natural web also takes place among other species in the natural world that enables the biotic life to keep existing and sustaining. Compared to other animal creatures, birds, especially the domesticated species, might be closer, more familiar and hospitable to human beings. In terms of species, birds also have more varieties compared to other animals. With their flying behavior, the birds can live freely in any habitat, both in the natural world or in the wild, and in human-made physical landscapes. Looking at the friendly and indispensable qualities of birds, it is not surprising if artists and writers frequently use birds as the pivotal images in their works. Their flying behavior expresses freedom and exploration, the two qualities that the artists and writers need to emulate in their creative process in producing their works. In modern American poetry, birds also become desirable images in poems by several poets. For instance, in Gary Snyder, a San Francisco Renaissance poet who was also affiliated with beat poets from the West Coast, in his poem Migration of Birds, written in 1956, used some birds such as white-crowned sparrows, rooster, crows, juncos, robins, and seabirds as the subjects in this poem. This article discusses the meaning of avian poetics in Olson Merce of Egypt and Greeley's The Birds by especially focusing on two questions. So first, how avian poetics in Olson and Greeley's poems serve as projective experimentation. And the second is how their avian poetics evokes ecological awareness in their readers, especially in cherishing birds as coexistent, indispensable members of the biotic life. This Black Mountain College, or BMC, is an experimental school for arts and literature that emerged in the US in the 1950s. It was founded in 1933 on a green land in Asheville, North Carolina, in the area of the Blue Ridge Mountains. It was officially opened on September 25, 1933. The first years of the school took place in the Blue Ridge campus. In its early years of the college formation, the school focused on doing fine arts, paintings, sculptures, and carvings. But then in early 1950s, as Charles Olson and some of his friends who were poets came to Black Mountain College, Olson converted the school to a new school of art center that not only visual arts, but more especially literary school, especially also poetry. Charles Olson and Rory, who had written poems as well as essays long before they went to the school, then became mentors and teachers at the school. They productively wrote essays and poems and published them by their own printing press. They produced poetry broadsides and other small-run editions, usually with artwork. They usually printed the essays and poems with drawings and illustrations by students at the school. So, for instance, the Maximus poems by Charles Olson, and then Immoral Proposition by Greeley. So here are the pictures of, here the man wearing glasses, the older one is Charles Olson, and this bringing umbrella is Greeley. And so this is the picture of the school in Asheville, North Carolina. So it's located in the middle of the green land, yeah. So it's very shady area. All right, and then in his essay entitled Projective Verse, Charles Olson pointed out his theory of poetry. What he meant by projective verse is a kind of new poetry in open form that he called composition by field, as being different from its previous non-projective verse written in closed form. These are at least, there are at least three qualities in projective verse. So first, the kinetics of the thing, which means that a poem is energy transferred from where the poet got it by way of the poem itself, and then all the way over to the reader. Therefore, the poem should be a high energy construct and an energy discharge. And then the second is the principle, the law which resides conspicuously over such composition, and the reason why a projective poem came into being. So here I underline the statement that form is never more than an extension of content. And then another statement, One perception must immediately and directly lead to a further perception. So this means that a poem means exactly what it says and always keeps moving, keeps in speed, the nerves, their speed, the perception, there's the X, the split second X, the whole business keep it moving as fast as you can, citizens. Olson also emphasized on one's breathing with listening to each syllable. He or she orchestrates through lines in his or her poems. So each syllable means something and really matters. And so here in his this second term, animal poetics versus poetic animals. So I refer here to a book by a professor in English from Georgia State University, Randy Melamed. So he wrote a book entitled Poetic Animals. Yeah, poetic animals rather than animal poetics. So the term poetic animals, since the term poetic animals tend to privilege animals, whereas animal poetics seems to be anthropocentric, yeah, still to be anthropocentric. All right. And then Melamed here also especially refers to Mesoamerican culture who believes in animal souls, or the idea that a person's soul is explicitly connected with an external animal counterpart that suggests an expansive paradigm for human-animal relationship. And then there is also the idea of, from pan-Mesoamerican indigenous
3
people.
minutes left, Pak.
Oh, wow, sorry, yeah. Nicholas. Okay, I have to run. I have to run. Okay, so now let me directly start with my question. Yeah. So yes, from the poem by Charles Olson. Yeah. So yeah, first question: Avian poetics in Olson Creeley poems as projective experimentation. So Charles Olson poem Mercy of Egypt consists of stanza with different number of lines. Where Robert Creeley, The Birds, has 10 stanzas. Okay, with 3 lines, yeah, each. So here I quote from Olson stanza: I sing the tree is a heron. I praise long grass. I wear the lion skin over the long skirt to the ankle. The ankle is a heron. I look straightly backward, or I bend to the side straightly to raise the sheaf, up the stick of the leg. As the bittern leg raised as low as its neck grows as the wheat, the representation is flat. I'm followed by women and a small boy in white carrying a duck. All have flat feet and foot before foot, the women with black wigs. Referring to Olson projective verse theory, the form of the stanza above is not regular, asymmetrical, since the first stanza has 6 lines, while the second 9 lines. The content does not refer to any certain subject the poem deals with, but with imageries, the general sense, the kinetics of the images that all suggest a high energy construct and an energy discharge. So the first line in the first stanza, for instance, uses an image, the tree, as the image itself, the projective image that functions to connect the verse. Even I sing when the second, the tree is a heron. This makes the lines reveal another sense, or what also called when perception must immediately and directly lead to further perception. The image heron then serves as a projective image that connects one image and another. This asymmetry then exemplifies dynamism, spontaneity, and then experimentation and ecology of various things in the poem. The last line, the ankle is a heron, expresses a rather surrealistic scene that extraordinarily compares the ankle with a heron. Okay, now let me compare with Creeley poem, The Birds. So Creeley makes use of regular and symmetrical typography. The 10th stanza consists of 3 lines each, and the coda is 1 line that has coherence with the previous 10 stanza. So here are the stanza. So I'll miss the small birds that come for the sugar you put out on the breadcrumbs. They have made the edge of the sea domestic, and as I am, I will come dead. Nights my head seem twisted with dreams and the sea wash. I let it all come quiet, waking, counting familiar thoughts and objects. Here to rest, like they say, I pass like walking along the beach, past the town till one reach So stanza 1 above has one complete line. I miss the small birds that come for the sugar you put out and the breadcrumbs. Well, the next word they have belong to the following line in stanza 2. Made the edge of the sea domestic and as I am, I will come there. Okay, so embodying one part of a line in one stanza from different stanza epitomizes the kinetics of the thing itself, the interconnection between objects from one stanza and to another. So these interlocking lines from stanza to stanza as an open form organize an extension of content, since each stanza does not impart a complete perception of things, and since it leads to a further perception in the following stanza. Thus, reading one line such as that in stanza 1, I'll miss the small birds that come for the sugar you put out, and the breadcrumbs will not poetically be complete unless one reads the next line as remaining syllables in the stanza in stanza 2. They have made the edge of the sea domestic, and as I am, I will come there. 4 and 9 in stanza 2 and 3 in Austen poem exemplify ecological mesh. So here the term I quote from Timothy Morton. It is through the interconnection between the poet as human and the physical environment and animals as non-human beings. In this stanza, the poet identified himself with plants and animals. This shows that the poet does not differentiate himself from these living creatures in terms of their difference in physics.
I'm sorry, Pak Enricus, the time is up. You can go to the concluding statement.
Okay, let me conclude then, yeah. Let me read the conclusion, yeah. All right, sorry about that, yeah, so. Okay. So the conclusion is here, okay, I identified that Austen's and Achilles poetics, yeah, avian poetics, they voice some visions about the situation, yeah, in this, if we read from this recent perspective, yeah. So nowadays, with individuals burgeoning consumerism and even overconsumption of material goods, Austen and really avian poetics opens one's awareness of the need for cherishing any life form for ecological sustainability on Earth. All right. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Pak Enricus, for your amazing presentation today. Okay, now I would like to invite the last but not least, of course, presentations of today's parallel sessions as well as the room 3, Ibu Rahayu Puji Haryanti. Yeah, Ibu Rahayu, the time is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Ibu Izati. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to share my screen. Okay. Yes. Yes. Is it now visible?
Not yet, Bu.
Not yet?
Yeah.
Okay. Not yet. Okay, minute. Okay, share screen, and then this one. Yeah, okay. Share. Good. Okay, yeah?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Well, thank you, Ibu Izati, for giving me time for presenting my ideas. This very morning, I'd like to share my ideas on cosmopolitan travel writing and identity in D. Zawawi Imron's poems and Sheena Pugh's poems. Okay, I will start with some propositions in travel writing and post-colonialism. The first is that travel is the negotiation between self and other that is brought about by a movement in space. So the movement means difference, and then the difference creates self and other. All travel writing then is a record or a product of the encounter of the meeting of self and other, or the negotiation between similarity and difference that the writing entails. It has a twofold aspects then. First, travel writing is a report of a wider world of unfamiliar people or place, meaning that it talks about others' culture. The second, travel writing is a revelatory of the traveler, his or her values, preoccupations, or assumptions, meaning that travel writing is the writing about the culture of the travelers and the culture of to whom the text is intended, that is the readers. In terms of reporting the world and talking about others, that becomes the travel writing's function. uh, Travel writing is a Western tradition which cannot be separated from colonialism and post-colonialism. In fact, travel writing is one set as giving benefit or support to the spreading out of colonialism. So this comes to my research problems. They are, number one, what is the position and identity of Western travel writing in the cosmopolitan era in Sheena Pugh's poems, The Opportune Moment and What If the Road? And what is the position and identity of Eastern travel writing in the cosmopolitan era in Di Zawawi Imron's refrain Di Sudut Dam dan Makan Gadu-Gadu. Who is Di Zawawi Imron? Di Zawawi Imron is a poet from Sumeneb, Madura, Indonesia. He was born in 1945, so he is now about 75 years old. But he is still active in writing poems, especially, and some poems reflect travels. That means that it's part of travel writing. He started to be popular in 1982 as one who attended the 10th Indonesian Poet Meeting in Taman Ismail Marzuki National Artist Center. And who is Sheena Pugh? Sheena Pugh is a poet from Britain, from UK. Sheena Pugh is a British poet, novelist, and translator who writes in English. Her book, Stone Light, won the Wales Book of the Year award. She's more or less about the same age as Di Zawawi Imron. She was born on December 20th, 1950, and now she is around 70 years old. So almost the same, or live in the same era as Di Zawawi Imron. That's why I took the two poets as the object of my research. Now let's talk about the loci of travel writing, some concepts. In travel writing, then there are 4 loci. The first locus is self and other. So because the basis of travel writing is difference, the difference is shown in the locus of self and other, and then home and away, and then here and there, and now, present, and then, that is past or future. So in travel writing, there will be differences about those things that become the center of discussion and center of interest, in fact. Now, some theoretical review. We are going to use post-colonialism and globalization and identity here. Post-colonialism is a process of getting free from all colonial syndromes, which appear in the various forms and which overwhelm those whose worlds are marked with the phenomena, including the ex-colonizer and the ex-colonized. This is the definition by Lumba and Hulme. Next, globalization. As Chairman Klaus Schwab in the Fourth Industrial Revolution mentions, globalization is the condition when technology is affecting our lives and reshaping our economic, social, cultural, and human environments. And the next, identity, is described here, is defined here as something remaining identical with itself from moment to moment. So it relates to existence. It relates to consistency, exists, and last long. And then blurred identity in the global era. High mobility in the end of the 20th century and the early 21st century has changed the word's sheer composition into balance and blurred identity. So if the identity before that is so sheer, so extreme, nowadays in the global era, the identity seems to get blurred. Okay, because unity, uniformity is the sign of globalization. Now the discussion. Here is the poem refrain di Sudut Dambai di Zabawi Imron. I think I don't need to translate it into English, but I will, in my explanation, I'll do that a bit. Amsterdam bagiku memang sebuah terminal dengan detik-detik yang terasa mahal. Masa silam dan masa depan di sini bergumpal. Okay, in this part we see that there is a discussion on a problem of a struggle here. So the I in this poem talks about how difficult it is living in Amsterdam because of the competition of two things, two identities. They are masa lalu and masa depan, the past and the future. Menyesali titik-titik gagal, matahari yang juga waktu mendesakku menjadi kaca manggala untuk menerjemahkan cahayanya menjadi api dan nyala. Even the eye fails in identifying who he is and identifying the reflection of himself in the mirror here. So this is a sign of blurred identity when he is in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam, where he seems to admire the situation in Amsterdam, and he becomes integrated in the life there, and finally he is unable to differentiate who is he. He cannot find who he is. This is indication of struggle against attraction of a foreign culture and a demand to stay faithful to self-identity and culture. Di udara menari kapak senapan sapu, biola, gendang, dan sejenis debu, menyanyi buku-buku kertas arsip, hendak turut memutar tasbihku. Yeah. Here it is a sign of colonial memory. Senapan, sapu, kapak, menyanyi buku-buku arsip, ya, arsip, memory of colonialism. Sorry. Jangan dulu. Di sini Amsterdam, akan kukubur dendam sejarah, sia-sia memberhalakan derita. Here, the I realizes that actually the memory of colonialism is not important in this era, and he tries to stop his admiration or his admiring the Western culture, or stop thinking about the past time, about his own identity at home. He wants to merge in the new identity. He wants to break down all the differences and merge into similarity. So in this case, colonial memory tries to stop his admiration. Tasbihku. Tasbih means prayers of admiration, of praising. And then the memory tries to stop that and send him back home to the local identity. But then he says, no, don't stop me here. Ini
3 minutes left. We are you. I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah. Ibu dan kampungku selaksa kilometer jauhnya. This is remembrance about mother and whom reminds him. Makan gado-gado also the same things. When he is in Amsterdam, he is reminded again to his home country, to his home identity, with a plate of gado-gado or local food in Madura or in Indonesia. Now, this is now the poet of Shinapu, Western poem. Here it is mentioned that it is the same thing, that the poet or the I cannot forget the memory of colonialism. What if this route that has no surprises these many years decided not to go home after all? What if could turn, etc., etc.? And then it is mentioned here, okay, a new shape from the counters beneath. And if those two lay self down anyway around a blind corner, across hill, etc., this is actually an effort to go away without any destination, without any agenda. This is the sign of cosmopolitanism already. So everything everywhere is the same. However, in the second poem, The Opportune Moment, Shinapu mentions that travel writing is always shaded by Captain Jack Sparrow, Pirates of the Caribbean, that talks about the golden era of exploration of the Western travel in the sea. And then he also mentioned semi-church. This is a sign of occupation in Sami area, northern Norway. Yeah, and then this is also Genghis Khan, that is a sign of the East. Okay, and also Madonna with Russian doll face. It is a memory of the confrontation between Western and Eastern that is represented in the Cold War, that is Russia. Findings, the Zawi Imran's poem signify a push towards cosmopolitanism actually, and a demand towards faithfulness to home identity. This is a kind of ambivalence, a position of ambivalence between foreign identity and local home identity, a strategy of existence in the global identity contestation. This seems there is a continuation of colonial burden in a lesser degree, however, and a desire to express oneself. Sinapius' poem signify demand to cosmopolitanism, yes, but still also the same, that is a sign of colonial memory still put there to be the attraction of a travel writing to the Western readers. The difference here is if in Zawi Imran's poem there is a desire to express oneself in the home identity, here there is a desire to tell about others, to tell about the East, to tell about the differences. Thank you. That concludes my presentation. Thank you, Ms. Izati, as moderator. Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much, Bu Yayu. Okay, so I will be your moderator now. So.
Oh, okay, Bu.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so there will be question and answer here for you all, the moderators here. So for the first one, we have questions from Pak Hendrikus to Pak Ruli. Yeah. So Pak Ruli is the question for you from Pak Hendrikus. He asked to you that what do you think about the setting the wave and the cliff as ecological elements on the natural environment? Could you explain a little bit more about the idea of natural and partial ecology? Thank you. Okay, Pak Ruli, are you ready to answer the question?
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the question, Pak Henrikus. Okay, so what do I think about the setting of the wave here, Pak Henrikus? In my perspective, the wave is delivered or is written maybe a little bit different with any other short story that I have been read so far, because it only describes. It is not about the narration of the Lion of Flaherty, but it describes about the condition of the cliff. Yeah. Jadi, so there is no the plot. There is no maybe the story. So from the start until the end, Lion of Flaherty tells about the cliff, how it is being affected by the wave, how it is standing still, how is the shape of the wave, how is the shape of the cliff, but there is no plot at all. So I think for the common people, if they read this short story, they might be understand this as a maybe a descriptive writing, not not a short story. So I think uh, it is important for us to understand deeper, to read deeper to that piece of writing instead of only looking at the maybe the surface to understand what is meant by maybe the wave, maybe the cliff, how the battles between them. So that is my opinion about the setting and how it pictures the ecological elements, and also it pictures the natural environment of the story. And about the idea of natural and partial ecology, in my understanding, how those two concepts are different. Natural ecology is environment or ecosystem that is formed naturally. So the ecology is affected by the nature. Yeah, for example, we can see a physical chemical process. Yeah, abrasion. Abrasion is created by the nature, by the wave. It is different from the full ecology, which is influenced by human activities. Yeah, human which affecting the environment. For example, we can see the concept of maybe terracing in Bali, how the nature is made, uh, not naturally made, but made by human. So I think that the differences between natural or partial and full ecology, Pak Hendrikus.
Right.
Okay, does that answer the question, Pak Hendrikus?
Yes, Bu Intan. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Pak Ruli. Thanks so much
Okay,
for
you're
the
welcome, Pak
answer.
Hendrikus.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Pak Ruli, and also Pak Henrikus as well. And then there is also another question for Ibu Yayu from Pak Henrikus as well. So let me read the question. This is a very interesting topic. I have a question to Bu Yayu. What idea of cosmopolitanism do you find very striking in the poems of Zamawi Imran and Srinopov, so since they come from different countries and cultures? Is there a universal idea of cosmopolitanism in this case? Okay.
Yeah.
You?
Okay. Yes, thank you, Pak Enricus, for the challenging question. Yes. Well, actually, there is the same base of cosmopolitanism. That is that they would like to be part of the world. Okay. They do not want to be excluded in the world or back to local, but they want to be global. They want to be international without partitions of locality. However, there is a burden here that identity is very important in the global era, so that when identity is blurred, suddenly difference is needed again to exist. So nothing can exist without uniqueness or without being different from others. And globalization is a kind of threat to this identity. And so travel writing, because what is actually sold in travel writing is difference. Nobody wants to read travel writing if there is no difference. There is nothing new, there is nothing unique. That's why they have to find again the differences. Okay, so when Dizawa Imran from the Eastern country would like to go global, he is burdened by the local identity. The problem here, what makes it different from the Sina Pugh's poem, is the cosmopolitanism that is desired is burdened by the memory of being dominant in the colonialization era or the golden era of exploration, Western exploration, in which the West is always superior. Okay, so inferiority of the East is the burden of Tizawawis Imron cosmopolitanism, and superiority is the burden of Pugh's cosmopolitanism. But both of them actually would like to go to the same destination. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So because they have different historical background, yeah, from the East and the West. Yeah, so probably the way they perceive the idea of cosmopolitanism also different, right? So the way Imran and Puig perceive the idea of cosmopolitanism itself, yeah. And also relating to the identity, so it means the way they have their identity, their concept of identity might be also different. Yeah, because influenced by culture, also by the histories, also history of colonialism.
Yeah, actually, because both of them are experts in culture, they understand the situation. So they want to forget history. They want to start from zero and from the world. However, in fact, history is very already attached in their mind. And so they find it difficult to live history. Every time they want to talk about changes, they want to talk about differences, again, they come to history as the base. And that is colonialism.
Yes. All right.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
actually, because very interesting topic, yeah, yeah, related
Yeah.
also the travel writing. So once again about travel writing, you. So travel writing, it seems not only just telling about one's travel, but also there is some other things, yeah, like cultural, and then
Yes.
also issues, cosmopolitanism, yeah, and also
Yes.
identity, yeah. So many things actually, and not just
That's it.
tell about one's
Places,
travel
no,
experience,
yeah.
no. So also the way how perceive culture, how the
Yeah.
way to look at
Yes.
human's relation itself, human's relation,
Yes.
and then also culture. Yes.
Yeah, that's true, Pak Enrikus. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you very much, the presenters here, Pak Ruli, Pak Hendriks, and Bu Rahayu, and also the questions delivered to the presenters. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, dear presenters here, now we come to the end of the session of parallel session. So we are going to have a break before we go to the main room at 1 p.m. with one plenary session with Mr. Rakesh Penot. Thank you very much for your attention. Hope to see you again soon at 1 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yes. Thank you.